All right, we'll give it a test here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You guys let me know. We are live. Welcome again to another episode of LunchTalk. So you're going to notice here real quick that my co-host, Krista Moreland, is not with us today. She is enjoying a little time off in Cabo, I think. Anyways, we'll check out with her later. But listen, I've got a great show lined up for you today. And we're back with our special guest, Buddy Cummings, who's going to be dropping some nuggets of information, which he calls the right fight. So if you saw the title, it's fighting the good fight, but he's going to break it down in how we can accelerate ourselves in being successful in any area of our life. But he's going to be talking about self, number 1, strategy, number 2, and number 3 was communication. So we will be back with you guys in just a few seconds. Get ready for Buddy Cummings. Talk to you in about 30. All right. Hey, again, welcome. LunchTalk Buddy Cummings.
Woo!
Thank you for being here. A little round of applause for our guests. As always, man, listen, it is you and your wife are awesome. We absolutely love when you guys come on the show, and I think our audience does too. Listen, if this is the first time to an episode of LunchTalk, let me tell you the deal. You drop a hashtag live and you let us know what's going on. Let us know you're watching. If you are watching this later, don't worry about it. Then just drop a hashtag replay and let us know. But what we want to be able to find out from you is your questions, your thoughts. Let's get into the head of this man. I don't know if we want to get too deep, but yeah, we're definitely gonna get in. So I'm gonna go ahead and let's just kind of kick this off. We talked about the right fight, buddy. And when you drop that in as the comments of our, the suggestion of what you wanted to talk about, I was really curious. And I know that this is something you're very passionate about. So for those who don't know you, why don't you, take a few minutes, explain a little bit about your story to our audience, and let's give them an opportunity to get to meet Buddy Cummings.
You bet. Rigo, I super appreciate you bringing me on because I love being just a part of your positive energy, your vulnerability that you bring to LinkedIn. I've always had a hard time warming up to the platform because it feels so like my dad's version of Facebook, or MySpace. So I appreciate your humor, your ability to connect, and man, I'm thankful to be here. Thank you, stud. And I appreciate it for Donnie.
Yeah, no, man, it is absolutely my pleasure, buddy.
Thanks, Dad. A little bit about myself. Like Rigo said, man, we are a two-man band. My wife and I, we've been in business together for over 15 years. I've been doing it for 20, and passionate about that entrepreneurial spirit. And I was victim of it myself, getting lost in the business world of trying or having to conform, about making it a job. And I ultimately created a job for myself, which I thought I was creating a business. And I'm talking decade plus rolls by, and I'm trying to have fun, but I'm stuck. And it wasn't until about the last 5 years of our business in which, like, an alignment that I now look back as a lifeline. And it was when I was able to pull together the ownership of, man, this is nobody else's journey on the planet other than mine, and finding and connecting with myself, and we'll get into that in a second, and connecting with where I want to go in life, not what the commercials tell me, not what my dad said I should do or mom, where do I want to go, and then creating a strategy around that incorporated my business and how to communicate that into my culture. And all of a sudden, the passion, the joy, the drive just clicked. And we went from 30 employees for, I would say, the multiple businesses I had for 10 years to over 500 employees in a matter of like 3 to 5 years with just, and the title, The Right Fight, because I was I was able to eliminate all the random distractions that everybody tried to impose on me and just got crystal clear. And now having the ability to help other business owner entrepreneurs dissect, man. It's not complicated. I can't wait to get into it, man. But I'm telling you, you have the power to align your energy, your time, your resources. When you get that clear here, you get the right strategy, and you're able to communicate it and inspire. It's limitless. And sometimes it's a one-man band, and you're just inspiring yourself, but controlling that message. But first to get it, because and I'll just leave this particular point is what I'm so sick of seeing and even being a part of is everybody running around killing themselves for the sake of productivity, for the sake of success, and they're missing it. And so that's where even myself, man, I was trudging through the forest for over a decade, and then it wasn't until I was like being able to like pick myself up, put myself on a highway, and boom, it was as if it just clicked. So let's go.
Yeah. So as you're talking, this has been a pretty common conversation here internally, and a conversation that I'm having with some of our clients as well. But for myself, so our business is going to hit a 4-year mark here in just a couple weeks. So we've been in business for 4 years, and this is not the first time that I've had a business, but this is the first time that I've been in at this level. And so it's amazing the things that I am learning. And I spoke with somebody here recently about it, that the greatest advice I ever got, the greatest advice that I've ever been given, Buddy, was to go get myself a coach, to go find someone to mentor and help me through the next levels of progression. And it was amazing what happened to my life when I did that. And still today, I see that need constantly, where you come and realize like how many individuals are out there that think they're alone. And I feel you on this. And I think that's probably one of the elements that I enjoy about having you and your wife a part of this program, is because your passion is so real and so authentic, because you get it. You went through years of battling this alone. And I don't mean that it wasn't team members and there wasn't, your wife is obviously been a powerhouse for you. It's not saying that you don't have a team, but sometimes you guys all still as a group, like even with our team, we're still working through understanding the next step. And as a leader in your organization, or a manager in a position, or a director, I mean, that's the wonderful thing about what I believe you're going to be going through for us today. And that's what I want to know more of. This isn't just about the entrepreneur. This is the entrepreneur, the intrapreneur. This is anybody in a role where they're responsible to lead, and growth is a part of our life. Right, Buddy? Do you agree? I mean, this is what we want. We want to grow. We want to be better.
Okay, so you asked a couple great questions in there, and I'm going to go back to the voices of the mentor opportunity. And I think that's one of the unfortunate struggles for business owners that we trap ourselves with, is we think we're supposed to have the answer because we took the risk and we put our name on the website and we're in charge. But in all reality, man, it's the ability to seek somebody who has been to where you're trying to go. Because when we let our ego down is when we become to get open to how to actually do it. Because just because we're business owners, answers don't fall in our lap. No. And that's why it's like muscle memory, being able to, and I'm so passionate about yourself and others that have made it so that, the idea of success per se, and circling back to help the entrepreneurs that are on their way. Because I'm telling you, man, weeks turn into months, and then years of struggling through and fighting the wrong issues. And 10 out of 10 times, the entrepreneur, the business owner, has what it takes. It's just they don't have the insight or help to what to focus on.
Yeah.
But,
No.
I will talk to your second point.
Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
I love phrasing this message to, and it's not that I don't care if you're a business owner or not, but I want you to be a business owner, because I'm telling you, I want all of us to dream big. I want all of us to have everything that we desire in life. And statistically, if you're looking to generate the money to support that lifestyle and the time to live it, the best way to get there is by starting a business. So I want to talk to you guys too, if you don't have a business, and give you the courage and confidence and the ability of where to start. So you can, I mean, God bless a job. We all need it. But man, when you get to a place and you're ready to make the move and you tap into your courage, I just want to be a resource to give you to know that you can do it.
Dude, I love that. Absolutely. Sorry, Donnie, I'm all jumping. I know. Donnie's like, look, man, it's my job. The board's my job. Don't touch it. You know, and that's exciting because, you know, you look at the companies I work with, the opportunities I had in my career, they were the building blocks. They were the areas that helped me learn, train, add value while I was there, but then taught me where I needed to be to come to the next step. So no, you're right. So let's get going. We're talking to all those wannabes and doing it, and it doesn't matter. But right now, for all of you guys that are looking to grow, let's get into the conversation. So we're gonna get started, buddy. Let's talk about the right fight, and I'll let you go ahead and lead us into it, and we'll just follow along and ask the questions as we get through it.
You bet. And I appreciate that, Rico. So I want to start from the perspective of, because it is a process in which I was able to find massive success, because again, this isn't something where I read in a book and I've trying to explain somebody how to get to a place that I haven't been. So I want you to know, man, I've been there. I've had the horrible days, years of fighting to just make payroll. I've fought with that restless spirit to, should I even start? How do I start? To, you know, finally getting the ability to scale, but then can't. I mean, it's just been a constant battle. So I don't want you to think that I am downplaying being an owner and having to wear all the hat and take all the blame. But I just want to do my best to shed some of the things that you may have heard of how it's not incredibly exciting, and that Indiana Jones adventure doesn't have to be limited to another person. It can be you. So I'm gonna act as if I was talking with a business owner on the phone, because I've found the most massive success, and I have to start with the individual person and dive in. And I don't want to get too deep into it here, just because there's a few different steps, but it comes down to clarifying and understanding what is it that the business owner wants. Because that's the grounding foundation of then we get to build off of. Because it's for me and where I'm at in my life is I want to help and give back to others. So if I don't find success through that avenue, I'm going to be not motivated at my core. I'm not going to be excited at my core. And I use that as an example because some people want to take over the world, yet their goals and budgets and daily routine are just to get by and to make payroll. So once we're able to uncover and identify what you're looking for, right, that becomes the grounding block. And then we dive into, because this was my, when we're talking about self, this is where I got into a lot of trouble, is I began to be the hindering block to my future. So before I was able to go out and start and create and grow and do, I had to deal with my own issues. And I was the worst part about my business for about a decade, to be honest with you. And that is I wasn't showing up in a way that was meant for progress. Okay, let's get into that. So this would be we're talking self now at this point. Yep. Yes, sir. So we're identifying where you want to go. We're identifying where you're at as a person. Are you showing up? And here's the test that I give myself and to others is, can you set a time in the morning? And I didn't invent this. Don't think anything I'm saying is of my own innovative thought, but this is things that have been proven to work. If I can identify an hour before I'm supposed to show up to a commitment, and then for me to do that, I got to start the night before. I got to make sure that I haven't drank too much, make sure that I'm in a place to start my day, because that, I'm telling you, as simple as it sounds, if you can take control of that first step of your day, it shows me from the outside looking in, but more importantly, it shows you that you have the ability to be in charge, be in control. Don't lose that. right?
Okay.
So once you can establish that you are in a place of when the starting block goes off, that you're ready to run and ready to go, that's a place to start. So as simple as that sounds, and then we get into short-term goals, but then we get into how you actually maximize, because for us, as we're getting ourselves excited in a place of momentum, it generally comes down to how do I stay motivated? How do I keep that discipline to keep the pressure on? And it comes down to that individual perspective. And for me, I have to put things that motivate me. Even once I understand where I'm going long term, I have to put immediate steps in my life. For me, I want $250,000 a month, and I know of income, of profit. And I know that for some that could seem like it's too much, and for others that could seem not enough. But I want to tell you what it does to me on a daily basis is it positions my head on how and what I look at, how I perceive where I'm going. Because if I'm trying to get that, I can't spend all my time on something that's not going to get me to where I need to go. Right.
Yeah. Not to mention you're gonna put in the wrong investment, right? You're not looking at further down the road and how to build. I want to unwrap something you said. You said you need one of the number one things you can do to put yourself into a position of power over yourself, right? Over self, is have the ability to take control of the day. Let's unwrap that. Give me some example. Let's break it down into the basic 101s. You know, we've talked about this before. Krista has mentioned one of the authors, I forget his name, Navy guy, talks about making your bed, the win, right? Grabbing that as a win and success. Help me and help those who are watching right now understand, what was this shift for you in when you understood taking control of the day? And let's put that into real context. What things can we do? What can we start doing immediately that allow us to start creating the habits we need to get to the next step?
Great question. So I talked about the alignment, and this is where, when you're starting your day, it's aligning your activities. Because for me, I have to work out, I have to get spiritual, and I have to get, mentally focused. And I used to have to battle in my head of, I'm working out. Do I want to work out? Do I not? I've connected the working out to be putting myself in a peak state to execute my day, to ultimately get to my dream. So I'm not now having to solve individual problems. It's one opportunity that I'm addressing. So that's what gets me up in the morning. And if I don't connect spiritually, I feel like I'm missing out on where I'm going, what it's about, and where my head needs to be to receive, to be honest with you, my compass direction, right? And if I don't plan through my goals, my day, find my headspace through meditation, and this is, ultimately for me, it's about 2 hours in the morning. But everything I'm doing in my day, that the side benefits is health, is how I communicate with my family, and how I respond to relationships and conversations. But ultimately, it's aligned with where I'm going in life. So, and that's where I say, when you start your day, you got to be clear, ultimately, long term, why you're doing this, where you're going, and what's the motivation to get up this morning to care about that.
So we're talking about a morning routine. This is what you're mentioning in your comments is this is the importance of a morning routine, right? So like, break down what's your morning routine look like today? How long? You said it's about 2 hours, but right. Wake up, rub your eyes, take a, brush your teeth, but I'm not talking, being a little funny, but in those details, but break down what a morning routine looks like in the camp, the Buddy camp house, or the Cummings camp. Sorry, Nikki.
Yeah, you bet. And for me, it's 4:30 in the morning, without compromise, out of bed, straight to the gym here at my house. And at that point, I'm able to put on something that feeds me. It's an audible. Right now, I'm doing Will Smith's book, something to just get me pushing, going. And that's about an hour. Then at that point, I'm able to come back into the house, grab I got a spiritual, journey group that I'm in, and I'm able to pour into that. And I'm telling you, it fires up. It's like I'm throwing logs on a fire to my soul and my morning. And then I'll sit back and write down 5 things I'm grateful for and 10 goals that I'm gonna achieve. And at that point, it aligns me.
All right. Well, we'll step back. Sorry, I got to stop you because this is good. Okay. So you get your morning routine going. This is good because there's a lot there. And I want to unpack some of this because if we do nothing but help getting the routine going for most of us, this is where a lot of us are going to start to see different levels of success and change. So you take the first hour of the day, you're getting yourself up, you're educating, you're eating, right? You're eating, you're mentally eating. So you're feeding your mind with like you said in the audible, which you're putting some stuff in. So this is, I know people that do podcasts in the morning, but they're feeding their mind.
Yep.
So you're feeding your mind and you're feeding your body at the same time because you're getting your workout in. Then you're getting your day back. So you got your first hour devoted there. And now in the next set, now you said you're sitting down and now you're looking at your plan. And you also said about, what were the 5 elements that you said?
Gratitude. What am I thankful for? Put me in a place of appreciation right off the bat.
Okay. That to me is incredible. So you're planning, and at the same time, you're putting in 5 areas of gratitude. You are looking at what you're thankful for. And so you're training your brain from the morning right away to see, and I guess capture the wins of your life. Is that a good way to say it? Or
it's a wonderful exercise because the second I sit down, it's a blank page. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm thankful for. Right. And then until your muscle begins to wake up and work out and you're like, man, I really did appreciate this. That was really amazing when this happened. And you see your day in life from a different lens. And to your point, it trains itself to, you can't be mad or irritated when you're grateful. I don't think it's physically possible.
So Dave Reese put out a question. He says, we all know you prep for today the night before, but what are the top 3 points you focus on for the next day? And so I think I'm a lot like Dave in that I usually try to prep. And I think this has a lot to do with my personality. It has a lot to do with my days. They're very crazy and stuff's happening all day. And so a lot of times I get to the end of the day, I'm like, okay. I need to write down all the items that are still active, that are open, that I need to follow up on, because if I don't shut it down at the end of the day, and we may be getting in this later, so I don't want to jump too far ahead, but if I don't shut it down at the end of the day, I can't stop. My mind is going to constantly be holding on to all of this as weight. And so I have to be able to give myself a cutoff that says, I've finished my day. I've done it. And I'm not good at this in a practice. The next element I'm about to say, which is identifying the wins. And we talked about this, was it 2 weeks ago with Krista Dunning? So we had Krista do a training in this, and she talked about looking at items, what could I do better? And then giving ourselves permission to celebrate in a success, to celebrate in a win. I'm not good at that. I'll be perfectly honest. Like, this is one of the areas that I struggle in. And so a lot of times what happens is I go home and I feel like, I've done nothing. I was there 10, 12 hours. There's no way I did nothing. Right. I had maybe a podcast on that played for 5 minutes and I couldn't finish it. I have a lunch that's still sitting in the microwave that I never ate. I know I was busy, but why do I feel like I haven't got anything done? And so I usually try to prep the night before to help me the next day, because my days are crazy. But I think a lot of that has to do with, I also don't really have a morning routine.
The only reason why I put so much emphasis on the morning routine is because it lets me know when I'm coaching somebody where they are. And I don't mean to say this in any other, whether it's motivating, is it lets me know how serious you are about where you want to go. And how serious you are about
absolutely.
you.
I'm listening, buddy, because this is, this is why we do this. We want to learn from those that have done it. And when you listen to stories, you know, I truly believe you don't need to be part of the 5 a.m. club to be successful in life.
Nope.
But I do believe, without a doubt, that there has to be time in focus of self, meditation, being in touch within your spirituality. It doesn't matter whether you're a religious person or if you're following a process of, you know, being in tune with self, with earth, with God. It doesn't matter. To me, spirituality is a part of us as a human species. So whatever your faith is, there has to be time in that. Otherwise, I believe very much so your body is unbalanced. And so it has to eat somewhere.
Well, and I just want to take one step back for your question, because I know how discouraging it is, and I'm there, I promise you. Man, I just feel like I, you know, touched a lot of things throughout the day, but how can I calculate the progress and how far the needle moved? I think for me, I found massive entertainment, I'll call it, in going back to spending that time, Rigo, and you know, at some point, however, just going through that discovery process of what are you passionate about? What is the fight? What is life to you about? And where do the motives come from? Because, you know, even for me, where I'm at now, or in the business I was in before, man, it was like, we're trying to take over the world every day. And I would laugh like Pinky in the Brain. And I would be like, man, we didn't get it today, but damn sure we're going to show up again tomorrow. You know, so there's a way when you're excited about just the pursuit, if just the ability to show up and raise your hand to be on the field of what you're chasing. You know what, the little detail, just an inch will give you so much gratification, right? So and that's where I'm trying to go through this process a little bit quickly, but identifying and connecting and aligning with where you're going and how you're getting there is it, man. Then the waking up in the morning, it'll let me know how serious you are about getting there. In my opinion, you don't got to get there at 5. You don't got to get up at 5 a.m. But if we're serious about being in my camp and trying to help you, yeah, I'm going to put that as a test to see how bad you want it. Because there's times in your life where, you know, I'm in a plateau stage and you do you. There's times in your life where we're, you know, busy or consumed. But if you're wanting to scale, you're looking for freedom, you're looking for change.
I love it.
For Buddy's boot camp, you're going to get up an hour and a half before.
No, I listen, man. I love it. All right, so we're getting into self right now. This is one of your 3 steps, and so I'm looking at your morning routine, and then next in the notes here you have defining your idea of success. Your idea.
Oh
right?
my God.
So this is something that you're doing. This is a daily basis. You know, are you revisiting this or explain that to me?
Yeah. So I'll use the best example for me in my life, because is what I get to do now. That's my idea of success is spending time with my family. And what I say that is, when I was in my 20s, all my friends were able to go out and have a great time. And I say this with humility, I was in the office with no answers, no way out, and even in tears. And I say that humbly. But I knew at that point, like, success for me was getting my heavy lifting out of the way. So when my kids were old enough and relevant, I could spend time and be present in their life. So what success looks like to me is I got to figure out how to get my life done by 1:30 in the afternoon. So my idea.
So unpack that again. Is, man, there's a lot of nuggets in what you're saying, buddy, and I'm gonna have to keep asking you to stop. I'm sorry, because I love it. And
I'm terrified we're gonna run out of time and not get to do it.
You know what? Then we'll bring you back if that's the case. And you know what? Nikki will be back, and Krista will be back, and then we won't get a word in. No, I'm joking. But so when you talk about the fact that you're defining your level of success, you're saying, listen, I want to be able to have this part of my life. I want to have time with my family, with my children. I want to have time to invest in self, whatever the case is. So by defining that first, then that, if that's important, then you're setting the time frame and the goal that says, right,
Yeah,
My
so
work
let
is
me,
going
yeah,
to,
and I'll unpack that again, and I'm using myself as an example, but everyone's unique in their answer. So for me, we were at 500 some employees, and we were headed off to the moon, and it was either take over the world or be present with the family. And so now when I look at what I want and my idea of success, which it used to be from the commercials and the social media, I needed the yachts and the planes to be happy. Now my ability to be home with my kids and find success and do nice vacations, it's got to be true to you, to be authentic to you, so you can find gratification in your day, and you can align your goals around what speaks to your soul. And I think we get disconnected of, man, if I'm not this guy or this girl, you feel inadequate, or you feel like you put yourself on a treadmill of activity and you miss it, right? So that's why I truly believe it's harder than I originally thought, is to figure out what drives us and what motivates us, because it does change a lot. But I'm telling you now, you don't got to get me out of bed, because I know exactly what I want. I'm getting crystal clear on how to get there. Strategy we'll talk about in a second. And it's important. I truly believe it's critical.
okay. So now we get into the second step. Donnie, strategy. There it is. Thank you very much. And I'm going to look at your notes here. You said hope is not a plan, budgeting, monthly tracking. Lead us down this path, buddy.
You bet. And so this is going a little bit more into that, because I just, my hobby is business, right? Some people golf, some people play tennis. I love building a community within an organization to try to change and take over the world, or add value to it in a special way. And so when I talk to business owners, we go through the first step. Do you know what you want? Where are you at? And it's usually just a little tweaks here and there. It's not as major as some people might think, of finding this freedom and achieving success. So when I get into the strategy part with them, I ask them, and a lot of, it's what's your game and how do you quantify it? Because a lot of people may not even, they want more, or they're trying to make payroll, or they're trying to, their goals or ideas or target that they're putting is not ultimately where they want to be in life. It isn't what they stand for. It isn't where they're fun. It wasn't what they're created to do, but they put a target in a weird place out of fear, out of necessity for at one point, and they just left it there. So that's where I always, let me see your strategy, where you're at. What are you doing next year? Where's your budget to back up? Do you know how to project and plan to achieve what you're looking to get? And I think that, as crazy as it sounds,
no, it's not. It's not crazy, because I had this conversation this morning with a group that I'm working with right now, and I remember, funny enough, it was actually when I got into Win, buddy. Rick, what was your last name? I can't remember. He'd been in the industry a while, and we were at a safety training, and I'm brand new in the industry. And I just remember one of the things he had said, and we joked about it because of his tonality and how he did it. But he had said, you can never, you can never assume that the competency of a person you're working with is at the same level of yours. And this was in regards to some of the training that we were going through, because some of it seemed very basic. Fast forward a bunch of years, and now one of the things I am finding is the simplest of teaching, the simplest of habits have been overstepped or never shown to so many people, that even in my own life and business, I have been blown away that I forgot to even lay some of the ground and the foundation down on some of these myself. And so you're absolutely correct when you say, do you even understand the budget of what you're going to need in order to achieve what you're looking for? So if you don't know, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, what you're trying to make, then you can't unpack it and understand what you need in order to get it, right? This 10-3-1 rule is very simple. I need, X number of dollars. I want 100,000. Then I need to have how many people in order to do that? I need 10 clients in order to make $100,000. Then you need to understand how many you need to be speaking to break that all the way down, and then know what it's going to cost to get there. And you're absolutely right. So great. I'm setting a goal. I'm setting a focus, and I've got all my dreams in order, and I'm setting my morning routine. But if I don't understand my numbers, then all of that is, I would say it probably goes to your comment. It's just hope, right? It's just hope, and hope is not a plan.
Well, and unfortunately, and I hate to say it, but a business without a budget I would guarantee is mismanaged, right? And that's and I talk about being a business owner is not hard, but unfortunately, and I apologize. I'm not saying that it's not hard. When you focus on key areas like who are you? Where do you want to go? Then you create a plan and a budget around that. Right. All of a sudden, and I'm going back to what you should focus on as a business owner. Right. And I'll just say the owner of your life. You have so much control over where you're going. Right. Because that's the critical part. We're spending all this time and energy in motion and activity. But is it intentional about the outcome? And so, because I realized when we got crystal clear on, okay, guys, your budget will tell you in your organization, or and it'll tell your life, it'll create your culture. We are a fast moving, ever evolving organization, or we are going to, grow by 5%, and we're going to focus on quality, and we're going to be this. It defines, or it will make you look at where you're allocating your money. Is it in sales? Is it innovation? Do we know our unique position in the market? It begins to ask the right questions. And that's where I see, and I go back to the right fight. I see so many business owners consumed with so many things in their head. And I'm like, where are you going? What are you doing?
So help us understand that a little, Ed. So
Sure.
As a question, and don't let me forget it, I want to understand, what does that look like when you're working with business owners? What are some of the challenges that they're struggling with, and they're missing some of the simplicities in going about this? Because I do think this is a big part of building a business and learning how to unpack it, right? Yep. Learning how to reverse engineer that aspect. If you want to grow 5%, it's, well, how are you going to do that? Right? The question of how. Great. What do you want to do? How are you going to, why do you want to do it? And how are you going to do it?
In a nutshell, I think, you talk about potential tangents that business owners get stuck in is not knowing what your biggest battles are and should be. And that's through your budgets, and kind of circle back to that. But so you'll go into maybe an employee, and here's the biggest issue, and he'll get you so spun up about making whatever that is the biggest problem. You go into the next person, you talk to a client, you talk to this, and all of a sudden you are so wound up. You take a call, or even on the way to work, you're so irritated, so it puts you in a bad mood, and you're focusing on the bad stuff, and you all of a sudden you become a victim of everybody else's emotions and weight and drama. And you can imagine, at 500 employees, I have hundreds of people a day telling me what I should be focused on, right? Pulling me into their world, wanting me to, no, you don't understand. And it's like, okay, I totally do. I totally get it. And you got to have the space and margin to hear them and connect with them. But if you're not clear on where you're going, how you're getting there, right, and rallying and motivating your team, you're gonna spend a lot of time, a lot of activity, but ultimately your vehicle as a business doesn't really move much.
Okay, so we got a question that's come in here. Paul Carter asks, well, I'll drop it up. It's not showing through our streaming software. That's great. But how do you explain what you do for someone who's starting out and has no money for their new business? And I think that could be a tricky one, right? So when you're okay, go ahead.
And the only reason why I say that, and I don't mean to sound arrogant, but because that's
It's
another.
okay, buddy. It's okay, man. I'm telling you, it's why you're here. Like, you do your thing. We're learning from you, buddy. So
Money is the least of anybody's real problem. The reality is there's just not a lot of people who have initiative and a good idea with the ability or that follow through to get it done. And I say that in a way of money.
I'm with you. I think money is absolutely the worst excuse, I guess. For me, I agree. I agree 100%. To me, I think I think money is an objection that doesn't work. Right.
It's real, and it'll play as much weight or obstacle as you give it. And I'll say that in a way because you can lift it up and say that that's my issue. And that's where, again, to your original point, Rigo, if you hang around people and are intentional about the voices in your head, man, you can't. And I would, so to answer your question specifically, to if you have a business that you see potential in, man, get really good at igniting clarity on what it is, the potential in which you have, identifying your niche space in the market, understand your numbers about where it is that you see you're going to make your revenue and how you're going to make your return. And then as you surround yourself with people, because they're out there, I promise you there's more than you could imagine. And I think that's a reality of, then you just become a person who gets to share and spread your ideas, because people will invest all the money and give you half the revenue if you have a good idea. That tends to be the going rate if they believe in you and your commitment to the success of it. It's about 50-50. Someone brings 50% of the cash, you earn your 50% by your equity, and you're off to the races. I'm not insinuating that finding somebody or the right person is easy, but that's your problem. You know what I mean? Not the money, it's finding the person.
Yeah, and if I read his question a little bit better, it says, how do you explain what you do for someone starting out that has no money for their new business? One of the things that I have found, and I want to drop some comments in here, and I want to get your feedback on it. So one of the things that I learned simply just by building this business here today, my vision for MW Partners is not even where it's at today. And what I mean by that is we're still baby steps into where I envision us to be. And in the process of this, there's been a lot of growth. So my heart passion, my love for teaching, training, and, equipping others to be successful has become more of a reality as a part of my day-to-day that I get to do. That was not what I started off doing, but I would say one of the lessons I learned simply was this, and we're still doing this today, is I think, once you define what you want and you see that it's a big vision, once you unpack it, and this is the aspect of keeping it simple, the elephant analogy of not being able to eat an elephant at once. I have found, well, if my goal is to have, the Acme company, and that is going to be worth, $100 million, and it's the greatest idea ever, and I know it's going to change and impact everybody, then I break it down, and how do I get there? Well, if I need seed money, well, how do I get to that point? If I need to be able to create this concept or build that platform, okay, well, how do I get there? And I broke it all the way down to the place where, I came into the industry doing what I did within sales and business development to get me to the next stage. And then I would fund it, and I would test, and I would build. And then I got more revenue, and then to the next stage and to the next stage. And I'm not done. But the way that I looked at it, and honestly, buddy, I don't know if I was doing it on purpose with intent, or if it was the fact that I've already gone through this and didn't want to go through a failing business again. What I went through 15 years ago, I don't ever want to do that again. So I took more of a baby step. I still have a vision, like even for this show and what we want to do for podcasts, like Donnie and I talk about it all the time. We're not even close to where I want to take it, but I know that it has to start somewhere. And funny enough, I was going to do a post on that today, but I mean, the show started off just barely over a year ago with a cell phone. That was it. It was me on my porch for a couple hours with a cigar. And that's continuing to build. And so I think when someone says, how do you help somebody who's bringing a new business in and there isn't enough money to get it going? Well, then, what do you need to do in the meantime? Do you need to deliver pizzas to get to the next step? I mean, that's the reality. In my thought is the biggest lesson I learned was stop trying to eat the entire elephant. Build your steps, your process, get that going, then the next step, then the next step. And yeah, you may not have it all at once, but then it allows you to grow into the next phase. Is that making sense?
It totally does to me. And I'll give you an example how I started my first, business that, did multiple millions. And I didn't have a dime. And I lived in San Diego, and I literally would drive up and down the alley at night until I could find free desks. If you didn't want it, you put it in the alley free. I got throwaway items, put carpet in the garage, put carpet down in the garage of my apartment, met potential employees at a coffee shop because I was embarrassed of my business location. And then would pay them their commission on when the sales would come in, which would be about 30 days later. I'm saying that because it goes back to kind of the lifeline or the strategy that I was kind of laying out here in the beginning is if you are in your heart and spirit are in that place of it's going to be hard today, but I'm going to gear up and I'm going to be the guy. I am the guy. This is going to happen. You understand your goals and metrics, what it takes to survive. And then we haven't really got to that yet, but you got to get really good at selling the story, brother, sister, really good, because a lot of times you're the only person that's listening to your story, but you got to be good. What you're doing is not where you're going to be, man. And you have to know that I'm going to struggle today for a better tomorrow, which we will all do. Everyone will work. I mean, I don't say everyone that I've met or tend to be successful with struggles today. If you can show them where you're going and how it's going to benefit them tomorrow, and maybe that be yourself. And that's what got me through being embarrassed. I mean, I couldn't pay the employees and I'd have to go up. I would make lunches and sandwiches, spaghetti. I would do whatever it took to keep morale up, to keep them around long enough to get them to a commission. Yeah. And it was all about me, man. And it comes down to where's your head? And even if you don't have a plan, get some actionary and be really good at communicating it to yourself.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to worry about the step in front of you, right? So, I mean, sometimes that's what it is. I think, anybody who's building a business, they've gotten there. They had the plan. They did it right. They looked out. They stretched all the way down the line of where they needed to go. And then all of a sudden now they're at a place where they can't see any further, and it's difficult, and they're challenged, and they're trying to understand what they're doing wrong or really understand what they're doing right. And, I think with the experience that I've seen so far and listening to others like you, Buddy, I've come to learn that sometimes you just need to just worry about the present in the next step to get to a point of clarity. Sometimes just getting into some clear skies has to be the goal. But I think this really positions your third step quite well. And this is in regards to communication. And in the notes you have here, you talk about intentional weekly messages and an alignment of self and gratitude. So this almost seems like a perfect lead up that, hey, I'm at that point, right, where I need to reassess. Is that what you're talking about, or were you getting into something different?
No, it's exactly it. Because again, man, I go back to, and I want to touch on your point, Rigo, because I think it needs to be heard, and I think it's a very critical point when you're in business. It's not just this, and I forget what the statistic was. I need to find it again, but it was almost certain for the people that have found success financially and in their business, almost all of them had to be taken to that breaking point of it's like the world and the gods need to know if you're committed. And it's as if it's a test, right?
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
And it's not just an uncomfortable test. It is, are you willing to risk it all test? And I'm telling you, and it's like, and if you haven't,
it doesn't just happen once, right, buddy? This isn't just a one-time thing. I was talking to Michelle about this last night, and I said, I've really understood. There's, man, midlife crisis, middle of your business, like so many things happen in this life cycle where the beginning of our life is such a process of learning, just like the business. When you're building a business, that first stage, that one, building a company to about $1 million, I used to think was crazy, right? And once you get to that point of doing $1 million a year revenue, you realize, okay, that wasn't as hard as I thought. And then when I listened to so many that are successful, they said the battle starts between the 1 and 10. That's once you can learn how to build a business there, after that 10, then the rest is easy. You can get it all. You can go as high as you want, right? There's a different stage and level that you can get into. But that's been one of the biggest challenges that I've seen is when you get to that step where you now ready to go to the next level, you start to recognize, well, wait a second. I don't have a morning routine, or I don't have this in place, or all of a sudden, then you find the areas where you're weak in. Go ahead, buddy.
And I think that, so I just think because it goes in sequence, and it very much leads up to this last point in communication and inspiration. And to your point, Rigo, my sweet spot in helping businesses grow is about 3 to 5 million. And so, because to your point, that is right where you get up to the point where you have a business, you're able to make payroll, there's some sort of gratification of making it over that 3-year mark, because that first 3 years is so just about surviving. But you make it over that hump, you're alive, you're surviving. But now it's like, okay, are we going to be? And here, let me say this because I want to be fair. I was at $3 million, and that was my plateau, 3 to 5 million for like 7 years, right? And it was like, man, this is all I need. I can check the box. I'm a business owner. I'm the guy. But man, I'm telling you, that jump from 3 million to 10 million. All of a sudden from 10 million to 20 to 40, and then to 50, it's like, that's where because you go back to, you're tapping back into your, man, I was made for more than this. I didn't take the risk. I didn't do all this to just barely survive. So being able to tap back into the entrepreneur and the owner, and then get them to connect, with that okay, because it's got, and I tell people, when you're ready to grow your business, it's like somebody who loves a baseball team. You don't got to tell them to go research stats. You don't got to tell them to watch the games. You don't have to tell them to care about each player on the team, right? That's when your business becomes alive, when you're like that in love with it and where it's going, that the magic begins. Because then you get back to, who are you? Right? When you identify yourself in that self category, because that becomes then your culture. So when you go to work, it's who you are. And your budget determines how fast and how aggressive. So you've already laid the groundwork of, we're gonna be like this, and we're gonna get there like this. And then the next step is that communicating. And I say weekly, because I think that as business owners, I thought that if I gave a good speech at a Christmas party, if I maybe said something walking down the hall, I assumed everybody heard it, wrote it down, thought it was great. But it wasn't until on a weekly basis I put the priority on, what if I just, and it was almost as if a dare to me, what if in a 3 to 5 minute exchange of communication, where I even got to rehearse it, prepare it, and put a message together that included gratification. Hey, Sally, I noticed how you stayed late and got payroll out. I want to thank you. You're amazing. Hey, the team that got this particular, ground or problem resolved, or even something they did outside of work. Hey, you stopped on the way home. And then you encourage that type of, hey, catch somebody doing something good, culture, so you can bring it back to me. And then you're talking about what we're doing as a company, where we're going, what it means to them, how we're doing it unique, what's our fleet flag, what do we stand for. All of a sudden, it's a process of letting go of trying to do everything as a business owner, inspiring everybody to care, want to do it, feel ownership in a way that the company's not going to get there if they don't do their part, all of a sudden you become just a part of what everybody else is, and that is getting the company to the vision and where you need to go. And that's where you go from 3 million to 50 million in 4 years, because all of a sudden everybody understands where you're going, how to get there. They have somebody encouraging, appreciating them, providing them the opportunity and the resources to get there. Right. And so
this makes a lot of sense. So when I go through this, this is where you're pointing out that the focus in our own personal alignment, why this is so critical. So just to kind of recap, as we're looking through it, we've got the time with self, and this is in our routines and self-reflection, in meditation, in mental growth, by feeding it. And so we're talking about building that routine and getting clarity on where we're going. And I love the way you said it, is having the ability to be able to take control of the day. So, and number one is that self-reflection time and taking ownership, taking control of the day. Number two is the strategy aspect. And so now we're talking about understanding how to create a proper layout, knowing our budgets, knowing that we can vision, which we should be setting a vision and goal, and we should be looking at where we're going to be. But now being able to break that down, reverse engineer it, and understand the strategy on how we're going to get there, right? I want to be $100 million company. Great. I have this amazing idea. Sounds like it could be $100 million idea, but how are you going to get there from here? Right. So it's understanding that budget and understanding, really, it's almost like it's back again, is the first step was taking control of self, mind, right? And spirit and focus. The second is taking control of understanding your financials, right? You can't be successful without understanding what it's going to take. And then third is the aspect of communication. So not only this place of communication with your team, but with self. So self-reflection again. So now it's coming back saying, these are the areas of gratitude I'm going to share with my team, but these are also the areas that I'm going to focus on for me intentionally in realigning myself with my goals that I'm setting for myself on a weekly basis. Does that sound like a good recap on what we just went through?
Absolutely, Rigo. And right now, I'm trying to meet, the variety of audiences, but if anybody's interested, it's a passion of mine taking you through just a discovery call, and I'm able to ask you questions that identify, are you clear with what you want? Are you clear with who you are? Because what you want and who you are is going to dictate your budget and your strategy, and it's going to be manifested in your culture. I want to make sure that who you are is aligned with where you're going and the environment in which you set. Because all of a sudden, when your true self comes out, your true vision, your true opportunity, what you're fighting for, all of a sudden comes alive. Then I'm going to jump into a few questions of, okay, show me your budget. And if you don't have it, show me your strategy. And I'm going to make sure that it aligns with who you are and what you want out of your life, right? And then I'm going to jump into a few questions of what, and if you don't have it, what are you doing on a consistent or weekly basis to make sure that everybody around you, and specifically yourself, has the right language of appreciation and intentionality? Because unfortunately, we can misunderstand as business owners that if we think if we're nice, that's enough. If we think if I'm just friendly and everything, and I make their payroll and I'm nice to them, that's a good foundation. But if they're not clear on where you're going, what's the benefit of them for getting there? Do you see them? Do you appreciate them? Are you intentional about it on a weekly basis? It's a quick process that I'm able to walk you through and identify where your gaps are, so you could just do some minor tweaks to make sure that it's aligned. Because dude, I'm the laziest guy Rigo. I'm telling you, you try to get me to do something that I don't want to, and I'm going to fight it. You tell me to do something that I don't see value or I don't think is fun, and you had me at homework, right? Yeah. You lost me at homework. So aligning everything to not do anything that doesn't have long-term lasting value in your day and in your future. We're gonna weed it out. and we're going to get stuck. And that's the right fight.
Well, awesome. Listen, our guest today again was Buddy Cummings. Buddy and Nikki Cummings are the founders of the Cummings Camp. And so this is a focus on entrepreneurs and really bringing an amazing amount of life lessons in what they've gone through, but they're sitting and helping, teaching and training business owners today on how to get to that next level. So if you don't already know this about him, then do us a favor. We'll drop it in the chat, Don, or we'll drop Buddy's link in. You can follow them here on LinkedIn, connect with them by all means. If you guys have more questions, if you're watching this later, let us know, but drop a hashtag repost. We're always happy to have Buddy here. Buddy, I really appreciate you sharing this with us. And, I'd love to get into more in regards to routines and really spending some emphasis there. Awesome. Thanks again for all of you guys that are joining. We appreciate you so very much. And we're always happy that you're here. We want to hear from you as well. And if you haven't joined our community, do so by texting lunch, hashtag lunch to 316-799-8052, 316-799-8052, or just hit me up in the DMs and let me know. We want to be able to help you get there in as well. And we want to keep bringing people like Buddy and Nikki and others on that are going to share their wealth of information to help us level up and get to the next spot. So Buddy, I want to just really thank you for being here again today.
Thank you so much, Rigo. And again, man, if there's anything on the planet that I could do to help your cause and helping others, just continue to have fun.
There's Donnie.
Yeah,
the crowd's going wild. So awesome. Thanks a lot, buddy. I appreciate it. So you guys, again, listen, we want to know more. What do you want to know more about? Do you like this? Do you like this conversation? Are these nuggets that are being dropped by people like Buddy helpful for you? Listen, if you want to know more about our guests, let me know. We'll get you the information. There's a lot to be said out there from the entrepreneurs who take the time to share with us what's happening in their life today and how they got here. I'm hoping that you guys are grabbing the nuggets I am. I like it. And of course, so if you're missing Krista, don't worry. Krista will be back next week. You guys will have to make sure to let her know and wish her a happy birthday. But outside of that, we are back here every Thursday, 1 p.m. Central Time right here on LinkedIn, and we're streaming live to YouTube as well. So, and if you guys don't know about our YouTube page, please check it out, the MW Partners YouTube page, where you can go back and check out any of our interviews. All of our content's there. Everybody we've ever interviewed. We'll have to drop that in the comments, Don. Yep. All right. Don said he'll get it done. Again, Buddy, thank you very much for being here. And you guys, we will check you later. I'll talk to you next week. Let me know if you have anything you want to see. Otherwise, have a blessed week, and we'll talk to you soon.